Hello and welcome to another episode of The Solution, where we scrutinize together with Dr. Michael Leitman the socio-economic doctrine of the wisdom of Kabbalah. Hello, Dr. Leitman. Hello, everyone. Ronen. Before we advance on to new principal topics, maybe that are a bit confusing, that will answer questions from our viewers. Over the last episodes, we got many questions from our viewers, and it turns out that even though that we talked about these things, there are things that are either unclear or that we have to re-scrutinize. So let's see where is it going to take us. Dr. Leitman, I'm with you. Ronen, the first topic is the individual behavior versus the social behavior of a person. And we're talking about a society that is already in the stages of correction, people that are studying, not the current state, but the state toward which we're headed in its different stages. The first question is, what are the parallels between the person's individual behavior and of society as a whole? Dr. Leitman, the main thing is the measure to which they support each other. This is the main thing. The measure to which society understands that its advancement, that the advancement of the individual is good for it, and to the measure to which the individual advances in order to support society. So in this mutual support, they will feel that they're advancing correctly. Ronen, I think the question comes because we talked about a person having to be able to be in a state where society rids him of the need to, try and meet his basic needs. Society provides this for him, and he only supports and works for the sake of society. So what's similar, what's not? And Dr. Leitman, if a person is already in a state where he is no longer concerned with his livelihood, but for him the main thing is to realize his place in society, because if he does what society demands of him, then by that he reaches his corporeal and also spiritual implementation. And then what follows is that actually, by his as if corporeal social engagement in it, he also feels his satisfaction, engagement, spiritually wise. And this is how his corporeal and spiritual work become the same as one. Ronen. So in such a society consisting of such individuals, what's the difference between corporeality and spirituality? Dr. Leitman, there is no difference between corporeality and spirituality. They see everything as spiritual. There is no corporeality. Tell me, where is there corporeality if in all the work that I do, in my entire attitude toward everything, I feel my influence over the public, receiving from the individual for the sake of the collective, and so on. There's no difference between corporeality and spirituality. It's all spirituality. This world rises, so to speak, to the upper degree or world. Ronen. Okay, so the same guidelines for both. Good. The next question is, what does it mean not praised or condemned on the level of human beings? There's the saying in Hebrew in the texts. Dr. Leitman, anything that is on such a level where I, by my actions, can influence connection for the better, then it doesn't matter what I do. Everything's spirituality. It's all spiritual. And I feel in that the measure to which I connect with all of society more and more. And then by that, I achieve the integral upper force, the creator, more and more. Ronen, I'd like to read a quote by Bala Sulam. Maybe the language, it might confuse you, but let's try. Bala Sulam says, I'm saying that the first precept or law that is that will surely bring us to Lishma is to take upon oneself not to work for his needs beyond what he needs only in order to meet his basic needs. And the rest of the time, people will be engaged in helping others and whatever they need. So here too, I'm asking, by this definition, what does it mean, one's basic needs? Dr. Leitman, a person's basic needs is what a person feels that he needs in order to be able to work to the benefit of society. He needs calories, he needs a home, he needs a family, he needs many things. But small things, just in order to be able to sustain himself on the corporeal, I'd say animal level, on the still vegetative animate level, whereas all the rest of his engagements are on the speaking level, which is the human level, meaning being similar to the upper integral force. Ronen. So what are the similarities between a person's basic needs and how society sees its basic needs? Dr. Leitman, I think there's no difference. The way a person sees his own basic needs and what society says it's the same. He's satisfied with what he gets because he's not concerned with being more something or having more, but only in order for him to have the ability to work for the sake of society. Because in that he starts feeling the measure to which he provides himself, the measure to which he fulfills himself. To the measure to which he fulfills others, this is his own fulfillment. And if so, what does a community or a city or whatever look like if they work according to these rules? Dr. Leitman, that everyone gets only what they need in order to meet their basic needs. It's not that they limit themselves on purpose, that they eat less or consume less or whatever, but what they really need. It's something that they don't even think about. What people do think about is, how can I bestow to society? Because in that, I feel that I'm alive, that I'm bestowing, that I'm giving. I feel the measure to which I'm included in integral society, and through it I feel connection with the entire universe. Ronen, could there be a conflict between what society sees as basic needs and its members? Dr. Leitman, a conflict between society and its members? Ronen, yes, in regard to meeting one's basic needs. Dr. Leitman, I don't think so. Because a person that's all the time working on giving to society and he sees his source of pleasure in that this is what gives him pleasure and this is his fuel, this is what keeps him going. I don't think that there is any problem here between society and man. Ronen, suppose we take a society that consists of such individuals. We said that probably it too will try to provide for the needs of society, of the public, to provide them with their basic needs in order to allow people to be engaged in serving society. Dr. Leitman, such a society mainly take care of schools, places of gathering, things that serve the public. Ronen. Okay, now they've reached a certain level of technological development that allows them to do it. Suppose the media. Everything's online, everything that's online. Computers, servers, this, that. Will they continue working our technological improvement? We reached our goal. Everyone could be connected. Dr. Leitman, it's endless because still we can improve the measures of our connection more and more. Our facilities, communication facilities, make more and more machines, devices, gadgets for children's education or to educate the new generation. Will be engaged in culture, in education, in different such things, We're raising children, and a person throughout his lifetime, he likes sports, he likes Everything. Culture, music, ballet, theater, movies. It doesn't disappear. We're not going back to living in caves, obviously. And so I don't think that there's any kind of limitation, but it's all according to man's needs. And how much people will change then? Hard to imagine. Ronen, maybe we can say that such a society will bother and will develop the best possible technologies, but will not leave it for themselves, protecting itself from others. Dr. Leitman, of course not. It'll be open to the public, and everyone will be able to get what they need in order to develop something. Suppose they have some kind of idea, some kind of something. I don't think that society will resist this in any way. Ronen, so we see that there is an entire industry of technologies, but they're, Dr. Leitman, they're closing it off from the public. Ronen, okay, sounds good. Everything's going to be open. Other questions I got. What will become of personal property in such a society? A person has to feel that he has something that he lives in, just in order not to get confused, in order not to occupy himself with it, that I don't have this and I need it now and this I don't. Meaning basic things, elementary things that we need. But that's it. I need chairs, a table, beds. I need appliances. I need a kitchen. Things. If it's a family, then it needs more. But it's not that, I need a yard. I think that we'll be happy to build all of these things. It's not a problem. But not that a person will have more than that. It all depends on education. How you raise a person, what do you teach him, and therefore you don't actually have to define anything. If we see that a person is breaching the boundaries of something, it means that here we have really we didn't give him the proper education. Ronen. Someone, nowadays it's important for him to have an apartment of his own, car, pension, this, that. And we're not talking about Marx, maybe, but he didn't talk about private property. He talked about nationalizing property. And so, will there be private property left in such a society? Dr. Leitman, I don't think this is going to be the topic. That's what, you'll come to me and you'll take my bookshelves. Ronen, is there no difference between a person's apartment belonging to him or it was lent to him by the country, by the government, as long as he is a member of society? Dr. Leitman, not at all. I'm not living in my apartment now either. This place isn't mine. It belongs to society. And what? I don't feel that it threatens me in any way, and I continue. Ronen, this is a serious change because nowadays private property is a kind of anchor. Dr. Leitman, obviously. But not that this is how things are going to remain. Ronen, an employer and an employee. Will there be employers, employees, work relations? I think that to some measure it has to be defined one way or another. Like, for example, I can't exactly say, but like it was in a kibbutz, or that a person has to know that he's doing work and he has to do what society asks of him. And society itself also has to bring itself, to position itself, to serve people. There are agreements, there are always agreements, even thousands of years ago. There were always agreements between man and society. Where does the resistance of Marx, and also I remember Bala Sulam writes about it, I don't have the excerpt about it, about the problem of someone enjoying the labor of others, that the situation itself is problematic. Dr. Leitman, of course, but again, we're talking about investing in education. That if we see that there is a certain problem here on part of the individual, then there is a problem on part of society that has not given the individual any kind of cover from his ego, shield from his ego, and therefore this is how he behaves. So there will be work relations, but harmonious ones without any exploitation, and if there is, then we failed in our education and we have to go back to that. Dr. Leitman, yes, Ronen. So what kind of work relations suit a corrected society? Dr. Leitman, I can't say. It seems to me that these things will fall into place by themselves. That how many hours a day are they talking about it? They're researching the laws of nature from within their connection. This is what people are going to do, and then they'll know how from one day to the next they have to advance and change. Ronen, I don't want to get into management, but still I want to ask managers, those that are working to the benefit of society, or because everyone's already adjusted to the integral laws or system, there's no need for management? Dr. Leitman, no, there is need for management as long as we're living in the corporeal world, but we have to understand that the more we advance, I understand from you that we're already talking about a more advanced society. Then in a more advanced society, we'll start understanding and feeling the laws of nature that we're acting in as a system that is forcing us to work the way that we do, and we ourselves are interested in unfolding it furthermore and acting accordingly, even more that it unfolds itself to us, and then there's a complete integration between every man and humanity and the system, to the point where we reach a state of connection, unity. Ronen, so in terms of motivation, fuel, such a society will have no problem, but still there's need for management, because even if everyone's motivated, there could be different interpretations of how to do things. Dr. Leitman, this is already the matter of the sages, meaning that there will be people that we will see that they are conspicuous in their understanding and their spiritual leadership, because it all becomes spiritual by feeling the system of nature, because we start feeling the system of nature and we want to fit into it. And so this is already a matter of what we call sages. Ronen, so there will be some kind of committee of sages, so to speak, and intermediate managers that will find ways of how to bring this into action, telling a person do this and not that. This is the change of management. Dr. Leitman, no, I don't think that sages are going to manage society this way. I think that they're going to teach us, and we, as a result of this teaching, will learn, will know what to do. Not that they're going to specifically teach us do this and don't do that. All in all, they want to pass on to us the correct attitude toward nature. Ronen, I'm only talking about the adapter between what they give us, pass on to us, and the actions, physical actions that society has to make. Should there be an adjuster between them, adapter? Dr. Leitman, the adapter is inside the person, that from his education, from his attainment, he understands what he has to do and what results he has to yield. But to prepare him to study, this is something that society has to deal with. Ronen, another topic. You talk a lot about the changes in the world of work. Many will be unemployed. Technology relieves many of us of our professions. The corona helps this happen, and so on. There's a concept called loditim, Luddites, where in the 19th century, they broke, Dr. Lightman, they broke machines, it's known. Ronen, they were really afraid of new technologies that will make them unemployed, and so on, and they tried physically to stop technological advancement. Now, history shows that these worries always existed. Every industrial revolution was accompanied by fear. Dr. Lightman, because the person doesn't feel that he stays boss over anything in his place of work. That now they want to replace him for some machine, and who knows what's going to happen. Ronen, the fear is clear. On the other hand, history proves that up until now, all these fears were unnecessary. Of course, technology made several professions unnecessary, but created new ones. So now, is it different? Dr. Leitman, I don't see the same behavior as before, where they want to break machines and go against development, because we're in development so much so that everyone's in it. Everyone's drawn to it. From the smallest person working with a computer and a mobile and everything, and up to the people that are building programs, programming them. Therefore, I don't think that there is room for this. No. Ronen, I think so too, because all of humanity embraced technology, and we also came down a bit because we see that maybe people will have to acquire new professions. Dr. Lightman, always we see this happening now too. Also, if you work at a certain place, you're all the time learning. Ronen, true. And for about the past 10 years, you're saying that there's going to be 80-90% unemployment. Especially it was because of technology, but I think that Corona is accelerating the process. The question is, are we headed toward a state of 80-90% of unemployment, or technology will find a way? Dr. Lightman, when I said that 80% of the people will be unemployed, I meant unemployed of their current works, but their social works, professions. Let's make this planet heaven on earth. There won't be the same types of work as you had before, where you have to work and to make a living precisely off work. But let's make workplaces, employment places that are more in the direction of making a heaven here. Making this the Garden of Eden, making our planet a garden, for it to be great for everyone. Accommodation, clothes, food, a corrected society, corrected people, kids' education, taking care of the elderly. You have enough work for everyone and for everything. What I said is that 80% of those people that are maybe nowadays doing things that are needless, and they're needless, we will give them a more social kind of work. Ronen, there is a tremendous conflict between what I hear from you and the state in which humanity is in now. The technological revolution, and that it makes certain professions unnecessary and creating new professions, this isn't their intention. Their intention is to invent new professions for people, for them to keep on making, selling, buying, Dr. Lightman, but there won't be any buyers. This is the kind of crisis that we're in already. There will be no buyers. Let's send people to work with the public. Let's send them to learn, to take care of the elderly, to take care of children, to work with them. You're just depleting Earth of all of its natural resources, and you have nothing left to live off. In the meantime, says Ronan, the country says, let's take that truck driver, because now we have autonomous trucks, and let him make, I don't know, computer programs. Let's teach him how to do it. Dr. Lighton, okay, but I'm talking about completely redundant kinds of work that only deplete our planet. Let's see. I don't see that as a result people are becoming happier or anything. Ronan, yes, I can say that the forecasts show that in 20 years, more than 50% of professions will be maybe won't even exist, simply because there will be new technologies that will replace people. And today what we're thinking, economists think about, is to teach people new professions and send them back into the labor market, the capitalistic kind of labor market. Usually we say that 5% of the people will have to work to the benefit of society, besides the work that we're doing in education, because still you have to do physical things. 5%, what kind of work is it? Dr. Light, maybe not 5%. First of all, we have to develop agriculture, to have food of all kinds, whatever we need. Not things that are redundant, but also that will meet our basic needs. That for sure will have what we need on our table. That's one thing. Another thing is accommodation, clothes, different things that a person needs. Let's first of all think how to provide people with these things. And so the basket of necessary products that society will give every person in order to meet their basic standards, maybe it's 5, 10, 15% of the people are going to have to work in that. Dr. Layton, I don't know. I never really took interest in it. Why does it matter? The main thing is that society feels that it has to provide its people with it. Ronen, does it depend on technological development or the people themselves? Dr. Lightman, why is it important? Ronen, I think there is something about the desire for people to be engaged in that too, that they'll feel that they're contributing to society in their manual work, that they take care of the logistics of Dr. Lightman. Maybe it will be by turn of duty. Maybe they don't have to work in that all the time. If I have half a week to work in that, then I do. And then, yeah, the model talks about rotation, or we talked about it on one of our previous talks. Now, something we all love talking about, even though there is quarantine, will there be vacations in a corrected society? Dr. Lightman, there will be, but not in the way that we know them. But a few days, a week, there'll be more organized kinds of vacations to the beach, forests, parks, arranged with children and the elderly, and in a more respected way. Can we say, asks Ronen, as long as a person's engaged in inner work, then it's less important whether he does it in a room or on the beach with his family? If he's taking his inner work with him, it's okay on part of society? Dr. Lightman, yes, the inner work doesn't end even when you're on vacation. To the contrary. Ronen, so there will be vacations, but it's not similar to the tourism that we're familiar with. Dr. Lightman, no, the tourism that contemporary tourism is escaping life, and the vacations that we're talking about will be another aspect of spiritual work, social work. Ronen, and if a person has the need to disconnect a bit, Dr. Lightman, please He can buy some machine that he jumps that he can jump into the depth of the ocean with. And please go ahead. He could be with the fish a bit. Everyone, these things will be abundantly. There's no problem. We will have to try and provide a person with these different things. Ronen. We see that work in such a society, that life in such a society is very intensive. There's no moment of rest. Dr. Lightman, true. Ronen, and intensity needs breaks in order to internalize. Dr. Lightman, no, only change. Why should there be a break? Why should a person's inner spiritual work have breaks? Ronen, the intensity isn't easy, Dr. Lightman, but he enjoys it. He enjoys it. See children. They can jump for 20 hours and then they fall, true. But that's how it is. It depends on whether a person gets pleasure out of it or not. It doesn't depend on the work, whether it's hard or not. If he's getting a pleasure, he's willing. Ronen, so maybe last question on this topic. You're talking about a new kind of revolution, but probably not a technological one, but a human one, maybe a natural one. Dr. Lightman, I really hope that we are approaching the understanding that this kind of life is not according to our desire, but according to the technological, social development, that this is what will force us, these kinds of developments, and we will find ourselves in a different world. Ronen, exactly about this, the next topic is a person's fear of coercion. I got many questions about this from friends, from viewers. A person looking at this future society is afraid of it. And we tell them, look, today you're forced to take some kind of test in order to become a doctor. You need to get a driver's license. There are certain conditions set to a person in order to be a part of society. Dr. Lightman, here too, undoubtedly. Ronen, how do you soften this perception for a person that he sees as coercion? Dr. Lightman, education, courses where this is explained to him, where he's taught, and also where he's given the opportunity to teach others. When he learns from someone, this is one thing. When he teaches someone, that's something else. Then he listens more, understands better. He should teach others how to drive, and then he'll understand where he is. Ronen, still, the matter of education itself is also perceived as education because you educate children in today's world. Dr. Lightman, this is a basic need. This is a necessity. Without that, a person can't be a member of society. A member of society has to be under the laws, subordinated to the laws of society. The abundance that a country gives a person, if a country relieves a person, if the regime, relieves a person of the need to take care of their basic needs, would it decrease people's creativity? Dr. Lightman, no. First of all, I am concerned. I'm concerned because I have to give a few courses to others. I have to take a few courses myself. I have to go and do some manual work. I have to take care of my family and so on. Meaning, I'm occupied. Who said that I can sit and do nothing? I don't exactly understand the question. Ronen, I teach this in the university. There's the matter of the universal basic income. Maybe we'll talk about this on some other show, but one of the magazines described it. They looked for an image to put in their magazine. What did they put? An illustration. They put an illustration of people on the beach drinking margarita, sun, someone serving them with something. That's universal basic income. Dr. Leitman, that's freedom, true, but not when you're working. Ronen, people see it as, you're released from life. Life relieves you. And but you're saying that people will be bothered only by other things. Dr. Leitman, of course, besides we have to understand that we are under the laws of nature. And nature will not allow us to be that free. Could be a few hours during the week. And also, I'm not sure that a person who goes through correct education will see this as pleasure. Ronen, so what's the balance between a person being occupied with something? Dr. Leitman, he feels pleasure in it, fulfillment, so how can he be rid of that? How can he get rid of that if he feels pleasure? He wants to continue. Ronen, so the work itself, working for society itself, is the reward. Okay, another question that we also got from many friends. We talked a lot about the appreciation of society, that they respect you, that you get medals. Could it become a sufficient force that will be stronger than money? Because today most people will choose money. Dr. Leighton, no, I don't think that money will fill people. We're advancing toward a state where we can already kind of even see this on the younger generation, that they're not interested in money. They prefer social life. They prefer freedom, satisfaction from the work itself, and not the salary that they make. Ronen, yeah, it's called gig economics. A few hours here, a few hours there. We'll talk about that. I'm promising all the time more and more topics. We'll get there. Dr. Leitman, that's good. Ronen, another question I got is, we said that everyone will do what they can and will receive what they need in the corrected society. So could there be a state where one person will give 100% of his ability and someone else only 70%? Dr. Leitman, I don't think so. And if so, then society will forgive him for it because it will feel that it didn't complete that person's education, didn't do it right, and then society will have to supplement or complete his education. Ronen, so society is very forgiving. Dr. Leitman, not forgiving? Ronen, no, forgiving in terms of if anyone deviates from what we said, then it's because we didn't educate him correctly. Dr. Leitman, that's very correct, because man is in the hands of society. And if he missed someplace, something, society has to see it as something that it didn't do, and it has to give him another course, another something, join someone. But we have to work on those people that will be such that will feel that work for the benefit of society is the reward. Ronen, one of the friends is asking, cutting the connection between work and the reward is something spiritual. Dr. Leitman, so I said there is a tight connection between work and the reward, only that the work is to the benefit of society. And then during the work, according to your investment, you feel the reward. Ronen, and that's true, spiritually wise and also corporeally. Dr. Leitman, yes, there's no difference. Ronen, about that basket of services and products that a country will give anyone who takes part in the educational system willing to work to the benefit of society, I got a question. This basket, do you have to pay for it, or Dr. Lightman, I don't think that there has to be money in this regard. Maybe it will be written down someplace, but today too, money isn't money. Someplace in the bank, it's written down, and that's it. Oh, and then maybe 10% of the money is in the banks, everything else is in the air. Dr. Lightman, I think that it's going to be that way then too, but it should be. Because how much does a person use for what? Yes, no, society has to nonetheless be managed in a truthful way. Meaning money will measure what a person uses. Dr. Lightman, yeah. Ronen, another question, how will trade, international trade be in such a society? Dr. Lightman, I think there's no difference. I also don't know what exactly are we talking about here. Different countries on a different level of spiritual development, social development, I don't know. Well, obviously it's a problem. We talked about the cosmopolitical vision of Bala Sulam that eventually will extend to the whole of society from a small institution. Dr. Lightman, until it happens, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to use money here in some way. That the only consideration in a certain system will be money. I'm not sure. Oh, and then production will it be local, on the level of a country, of a society? Lately, I heard you say that gradually we'll shift to local manufacturing, closer to a country, to a city, the person. Dr. Lightman, all in all, I think that with the help of technology, we'll reach a state where it's something that we can't even imagine now, but that we'll be able to produce everything that we need anywhere. We won't have to grow trees. It's all going to be plastic. We won't need clothes made out of the vegetative, meaning it will all be very concrete and more local and simple, and not that we'll have to move merchandise through the sea from place to place. Like, these are things that only pollute the air nowadays. One of the trends in the world in terms of sustainability is moving to local production and to be very sophisticated in this regard. The technology is related to agriculture, closer to the community, closer to man and society. Another question, what is the key to a successful business in a corrected society? Will there be businesses? Dr. Lightman, a successful business in a corrected society is to the measure to which a society, how to say this, can provide every person, can satisfy every person. Spiritually, corporeally, internally, doesn't matter how you call it, but to the measure to which it can provide a person with satisfaction. It could be the orchestra, it could be a bakery, doesn't matter what. So if the business is working to the benefit of society and not to its own benefit, that is a successful business, that there's room for it in society. Dr. Lightman, yes. Ronen. Maybe we should end the show with how will the banking and financial industry, what will it look like in such a society? Dr. Lightman, I can't say. It seems to me that it'll go through such a change that it won't be like today at all. Sure, we will have to calculate things and to move money, not in terms of, bills or whatever, but this will exist, but on a completely different basis, without interests, without all these things. Because if we're decreasing to a point where we provide ourselves only with our basic needs, then it's no longer for the sake of profit, then everything falls. Ronen, yeah. The banking system is the heart of the financial system. But still, we got some hope. We have many more questions. I'm sure we'll continue this on our next episode. Dr. Lightman, at your service. Ronen, thank you very much for your time. Dr. Lightman, thank you. See you on our next show.